Hi, my name's Roger. I'm going to talk today about the NEVAC suction unit and the NEVAC suction canister. The NEVAC suction unit comes with full instructions for use, which everyone should read. The really important things in there are that it will consume gas at somewhere between 18 to 40 litres a minute, depending on how you've adjusted the flow of the vacuum. This is the suction unit here. It consists of on-off valve, a flow control valve, which can also be used as an on-off valve, and internally it has a venturi system, and it has exhaust ports here, and those exhaust ports are coupled by baffles that are inside this black container, and they are used essentially to quieten down the unit. They don't actually operate as a filter per se. So to operate this unit, you must combine it with a suction canister. These suction canisters also come with an instruction sheet, which you should read and become familiar with. These canisters have two elbows on them. This is the suction side, which is all yellow. Hopefully that makes sense. And the patient side is white. You can connect up via the elbow, or if you want to, you don't have to have the elbow. You can connect directly up to the cap or the lid itself. This lid, when it operates, has a hydrophobic filter in there, which means that the fluid being pushed in to the canister won't travel past the filter that's here and contaminate the NEVAC itself. This is a PFTE, or like a Teflon type filter, and it's fundamentally sits in there on scaffolding, and there's no real reason to make sure to open it up, but it's always smart in your pre-tests to ensure that everything's tight and snug, because obviously if it vibrates loose in transit or something like that, you want to make sure it's tight. There's no need to empty these. These should be single use, single patient use. You can obviously aspirate a patient and then work and then aspirate them again with the same container, but definitely don't use this container with multiple patients. It's not ideal, because ideally you have to use it with the patient aspiration gear, like this suction hose and a Yankow with an atraumatic tip, which most agencies would use. The thing about the NEVAC is that it's adjustable. You can adjust the negative pressure on here, and it will, by doing that, you are reducing the risk of traumatic impact of suction onto the mucosa, where you may create a bleed or something like that. The best idea is to always use the least amount of suction to do the job that you need to do. Obviously, if you need to suck a lot quickly, you can turn it up quite high, but the recommendation is that you don't necessarily leave it like that, is that you have it running at the least amount of suction you can possibly get away with. It's connected up normally to a oxygen regulator, and I'll turn this regulator, this regulator is on, and if I turn on this dial here, I can hear and feel the gas coming out through the venturi apertures here, and if I block off the suction unit, you can start to see, the inlet, you can start to see the negative pressure being demonstrated on there. This is obviously at full block off. If the device is flowing freely like this, you won't get a reading, because there's no negative pressure really happening on that gauge. You have to actually block it to be able to read something. You can use the on-off valve to stop the flow, so you can leave it turned on and then turn it on, turn it off, but my recommendation is always you should adjust for effect. The canister is connected up to the suction unit through this tailpiece here, and you can, as I said before, you can either connect it directly onto the top or use the supplied elbow. These elbows are designed with a taper in them, so as the suction occurs, it will pull it tighter together and prevent leakage. The patient's side is connected up to the white elbow, like that, and then you can operate the Yankauer. And quite easily you turn it on, create a negative pressure, and in fact it's because of the resistance by the filter in there, you're actually starting to see a reading here of the negative pressure. And then you should always operate these with the canister in a vertical position, and you can install it and start to suck fluid into the container. And as you can see, the fluid level's rising quite quickly, and it will eventually stop when it hits the hydrophobic filter. And then and it's stopped now, and there's no fluid actually running into the suction unit at all. That's really it. Thank you.